Experience. Have you ever noticed that the people who despise you, criticize you, or try to bring you down are often the ones who should be cheering you on? Today, experience, I want to tell you something profound. Their hate is not a curse. It's evidence. Evidence that God is elevating you, blessing you, and positioning you for his purposes. Experience, when God favors someone, opposition will come. It's inevitable. Experience. But opposition is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that God is working in your life in ways that make others uncomfortable. Think about Joseph. His own brothers hated him, sold him into slavery, and yet that very path led him to the palace of Pharaoh. His brothers' hatred was proof that God's favor was on him. Today, experience, I want to give you 4 key points that will help you understand why their hate is your confirmation. When God places you in a position of purpose, experience, it will not always come with applause or acceptance. In fact, more often than not, it comes with opposition. People will resist you, misunderstand you, experience, or even despise you, not because you are doing something wrong, but because God is doing something right in your life. Opposition is not an indication of failure. Rather, experience, it is a powerful confirmation that you are exactly where God wants you to be. Too many Christians interpret criticism, rejection, experience, or even ridicule as a sign that God has abandoned them. But this is far from the truth. In reality, experience, opposition is proof that you are walking in God's favor and that you are standing in alignment with his will. Think about the life of Joseph. From the very beginning, experience. Joseph was a young man with a dream from God. He had a vision for his life, a destiny that was greater than the ordinary, and it was evident to God. Yet, his brothers hated him, experience, envied him, and plotted against him. They sold him into slavery. On the surface, it looked like Joseph's life had been derailed, but God's favor was at work. Experience. That very opposition was a confirmation that Joseph was moving into a position of prominence. His brother's hatred did not stop God's plan. Experience. It revealed that God was elevating Joseph beyond the reach of human jealousy and limitation. Every obstacle, every betrayal, experience, every challenge he faced was a signpost pointing to the divine purpose that awaited him. This principle applies to you today. When you encounter resistance, whether at work, experience, in your ministry, or even within your family, it does not necessarily mean that you are on the wrong path. In fact, it can often mean the opposite. You are walking in the exact position God has prepared for you. Opposition is like a divine spotlight that illuminates your calling. Experience, showing both you and others that you are being positioned for something significant. The enemy always fights those whom God plans to use mightily. If there were no opposition, experience, it might be a sign that you are in a place of comfort rather than purpose. God's favor is rarely quiet. It provokes reactions, experience. And sometimes those reactions come in the form of hatred or criticism. It is essential to understand that opposition can come from unexpected places. Experience. Joseph's own brothers were the source of his early trials. David faced Saul's jealousy even after he had been anointed to be king. Experience. Jesus himself faced resistance from the religious leaders even though he walked in perfect obedience to the Father. Experience. These examples show us that opposition is not always from enemies in the conventional sense. Sometimes it comes from people who are closest to us. Experience, or from those who simply cannot comprehend the plan God has for our lives. But opposition is never random. It is a confirmation of purpose. Experience. It is God's way of showing that your calling is real and that you are moving toward the destiny he has ordained. When you are opposed, your perspective is key. Experience. Instead of taking offense or being discouraged, you must reframe opposition as validation. When people push back, criticize, or try to stop you, experience, it is evidence that you are on the right track. Their rejection is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of God's favor on your life. Experience, their disbelief is not a measure of your capability, but a signal that God is preparing you for something extraordinary. Opposition does not define you, God's favor does. Experience. Furthermore, opposition develops strength and character. It refines your faith, strengthens your resolve, and trains you to rely not on human approval, but on divine guidance. Experience, every challenge, every skeptic, every critic you encounter is a tool that God uses to confirm your position and prepare you for the responsibilities of his favor. Experience, just as gold is refined in fire, your faith and your purpose are clarified through opposition. This is why the Bible tells us that trials produce perseverance, character, and hope. Experience. Opposition is not punishment, it is preparation. So if you find yourself facing criticism, ridicule, or even betrayal, do not panic. Stand firm. Do not shrink back. Experience. Recognize that opposition confirms your position. It is proof that you are standing in alignment with God's will, that your life is marked by his favor. experience, and that you are being positioned for greater things. The haters may mock, the skeptics may doubt, and the world may resist, but their opposition is a sign that God is at work. Your position is confirmed not by popularity or acceptance, but by divine purpose. Keep moving forward. Remain faithful. Experience and trust that every obstacle is a confirmation that you are exactly where God wants you to be. When God's favor rests on your life, it is visible, undeniable, and unmistakable. Experience. Favor is not something that moves quietly in the shadows. Favor makes you stand out, and when you stand out, you will inevitably attract attention. Experience. Some of that attention will be positive, but some of it will be negative. People will notice your progress, your breakthroughs, and your blessings. Experience. And not everyone will celebrate with you. In fact, some will feel threatened by it. God's favor makes you a target, not because you have done anything wrong. Experience, but because the enemy and sometimes even others cannot stand to see what God is doing in your life. Think about Daniel. He was a man of integrity and faith in a foreign land. Experience, a position God had orchestrated for him. But because of his excellence, his wisdom, and his favor, he became a target of jealousy and conspiracy. Experience. The other officials could not tolerate his rise. They plotted to trap him and remove him from the position God had given him. Daniel's favor drew attention. Experience, and attention brought opposition. This is a pattern we see throughout Scripture. When God elevates his people, favor draws fire. Favor provokes jealousy, resistance, and sometimes even hatred. It is unavoidable. Favor is not passive. It moves, it prospers, and it makes waves. And when it does, experience, it becomes a target for those who operate in the natural realm and those who operate in the spiritual realm. Favor makes you a target because it is a confirmation of your purpose. Experience. When you are doing what God has called you to do, people will recognize it, even if they do not understand it. Your promotions, your breakthroughs, experience, your spiritual growth, these things will not go unnoticed. Some will celebrate, some will envy, and some will oppose. Experience. Opposition is not a reflection of your failure, but an indication that you are fulfilling your destiny. The higher God lifts you, the more resistance you will face. Experience. This is why it is essential to understand that being targeted is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are succeeding in ways that others cannot duplicate. Experience. Favor also makes you a target because it exposes hidden things. When God's hand is on your life, he brings light into your path, and light exposes darkness. Your favor illuminates areas where others may have been comfortable in mediocrity, jealousy, or sin. Experience. People are often uncomfortable around those whom God favors because his favor reveals truth and exposes the gaps in their own lives. When people attack you, experience, it is often because they cannot reconcile your progress with their own position or expectations. They resent what they cannot understand, and they fear what they cannot control. Experience, your favor is a threat to the status quo, and anytime God shakes the ordinary, the extraordinary will always become a target. But here is the key. Experience. Being a target does not mean you are unprotected. Psalm 5:12 reminds us that surely, O Lord, you bless the righteous. Experience. You surround them with favor as with a shield. God's favor is both a promotion and a protection. While favor draws attention, it also draws divine defense. Experience. Just as the enemy tried to harm Daniel in the lion's den but could not, just as Joseph's brothers could not prevent him from rising in Egypt. Experience. The attacks aimed at you cannot stop what God has ordained. Favor makes you a target, but it also gives you a shield. Experience. Those who seek to harm you cannot succeed because God's favor is active, powerful, and supernatural. When you understand that favor makes you a target, experience, you begin to see challenges differently. You no longer panic when opposition arises because you recognize it as a natural byproduct of God's blessing. Experience. You no longer doubt when jealousy or criticism surfaces because you know that being targeted is evidence of divine elevation. Instead of shrinking back or changing course, you move forward with confidence, knowing that God's favor is moving you to a higher level and that every attack is a confirmation of your promotion. Experience. Favor is not something that goes unnoticed. It is powerful, visible, and impactful. And because it is impactful, it will draw attention from both supporters and detractors. Experience. The more God blesses you, the more you will be challenged. The more he elevates you, the more you will be opposed. But the enemy cannot stop God's hand. Experience. And the haters cannot undo what God has ordained. Being a target is not a curse. It is a confirmation. Experience. Favor makes you a target because you are walking in alignment with God's will, because you are doing what he has called you to do. Period. And because the extraordinary life he is building for you cannot be ignored. So when you find yourself being criticized, attacked, or opposed, remember this. Experience. Being a target is proof that God's favor is on you. It is evidence that you are walking in purpose, that your life is moving in alignment with divine destiny. Experience. And that the attacks around you are only indicators of the elevation God has planned. Keep walking. Keep trusting, keep believing. Experience. The favor that makes you a target is the same favor that will carry you to the top, protect you in the valley. Experience and fulfill the promises of God in your life. When you understand God's favor, one of the most powerful truths you must grasp is that favor is not just promotion. Experience in His protection. The same hand that lifts you up and opens doors for you also shields you from harm. Many people think that when life gets difficult or when opposition comes, experience, it means God has abandoned them or that His favor has left them. Nothing could be further from the truth. In reality, God's favor acts as a shield, experience, surrounding you even when the world conspires against you. Think about Nehemiah. He faced immense opposition while rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Experience. The enemies around him ridiculed, threatened, and conspired against the work he was doing. And yet the Bible tells us that God's hand was upon him. Every obstacle, every threat, experience, every attempt to sabotage his mission was met by divine protection. The same principle applies to you. When God favors you, the enemy may still try to attack, experience, but no weapon formed against you will prosper. The favor of God is a supernatural shield that not only elevates you, but also safeguards you from those who intend harm. Experience. Psalm 5:12 beautifully says, "Surely, O Lord, you bless the righteous." Experience. You surround them with favor as with a shield. Notice the word surround. God's favor is not one-sided or partial. It encircles you. It is not just in front of you, protecting your path. It is all around you, defending your life, your family, your work, and your calling. Favor is proactive protection. While the enemy may plan, scheme, or plot, experience, God's favor ensures that your steps are ordered and your path is secure. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is divine protection in action. Experience. Favor protects in ways we often do not see. Sometimes God's favor protects by opening doors to opportunity that shield you from danger. Other times, experience, it protects by closing doors, keeping you from situations that could bring harm. God's favor positions you in the right places at the right time. Experience. Often in ways that others cannot understand. When you are favored, even challenges that seem overwhelming are under God's control. The enemy may attempt to derail you. Experience, but God's favor ensures that you remain aligned with His plan, that you remain secure in your purpose. Experience, and that you are not consumed by the schemes of men or the attacks of the enemy. Consider Joseph in Egypt. He faced betrayal, false accusations, and imprisonment. Experience. It appeared as though everything was going against him. Yet God's favor was his shield. No matter how deep the pit, no matter how unjust the circumstances, experience, God's hand remained upon him. That favor protected him until the timing was right for elevation. What looked like misfortune was actually God's protection in disguise. Experience. Had Joseph been in control of his own path, he might have acted in anger or made decisions that could have jeopardized his destiny. Experience. But God's favor not only protected him from his enemies, but also from himself. This principle applies directly to your life today. When people speak against you, experience, plot against you, or try to hinder your progress, remember that favor is your shield. It is a divine covering that cannot be broken by human strength, worldly power, experience, or spiritual attack. You may encounter trials, but the trials cannot touch the core of God's protection. You may face opposition, experience, but opposition cannot penetrate the shield that favor provides. When you walk in favor, experience, you are walking with a supernatural covering that guarantees your safety and secures your destiny. Favor also brings discernment as a form of protection. The more God's favor rests on you, the more clarity you receive. You begin to recognize danger, avoid pitfalls, and make decisions that align with God's will. Experience. Favor is not passive, it is active. It is a guiding light and a shield that surrounds you with wisdom, provision, and divine intervention. Experience. Every step you take in favor is protected, and every breakthrough you achieve is a testament to the fact that God's hand is over you, guiding and guarding you. So, experience. When you feel attacked, when it seems like the world is against you, or when people question why you continue to rise despite adversity, remember this: God's favor protects you. Experience. It surrounds you, it shields you, and it defends you. You do not need to fear the opposition. You do not need to be anxious about the attacks. Your path is secure. Experience. Your calling is protected, and your destiny is shielded by the hand of God. Favor is not just a blessing, it is a fortress. Experience. It is a supernatural covering that keeps you safe while allowing you to thrive. Walk boldly in favor, knowing that what God has ordained for you cannot be destroyed. Experience. Your enemies may plot, circumstances may challenge, and opposition may rise, but God's favor surrounds you as with a shield. Nothing can penetrate it. Nothing can overtake it. Experience, and nothing can prevent the fulfillment of his plan in your life. Favor is protection, power, and promotion, all wrapped into one divine blessing. Stand firm. Trust God. Walk in your favor. When God places you on a path of purpose, one thing becomes inevitable. There will be people who do not like what they see in your life. Experience, there will be those who criticize, oppose, or even openly despise you. At first glance, it may feel discouraging, hurtful, or even unfair. But here is the truth. Their hate is not a signal to stop. It is a confirmation to keep moving forward. Experience, the very opposition you encounter is a divine indicator that you are walking in alignment with God's plan. Experience, it is proof that you are moving in the right direction and that your life is bearing fruit that the enemy and sometimes the world cannot tolerate. Consider the life of Jesus. Experience, from the beginning of his ministry, he faced hate, ridicule, and rejection. Religious leaders criticized him. Crowds doubted him. Experience, and even some who followed him questioned his mission. And yet he never stopped. Why? Experience, because he understood that the very opposition and resistance he faced were indicators of the significance of his purpose. The greater the calling, the greater the resistance. Experience. Hate is often a sign that you are walking in power, influence, and favor. The stronger the opposition, the stronger the confirmation that God is moving mightily through your life. Experience. Hate is a sign to keep moving because it reveals the enemy's awareness of your potential. When people oppose you, experience, it often means they see something in you that they cannot replicate or control. They may feel threatened because your life is a living testimony of what God can do. Experience, the very thing they try to suppress or criticize is the evidence of divine favor, blessing, and purpose. Experience, their hate is not a reflection of your weakness. It is a reflection of their inability to stop what God has ordained. The more you are hated, experience, the more you can be confident that God is elevating you. Opposition is not punishment, it is confirmation. Think about Joseph. His brothers hated him and sold him into slavery. Experience, later, even in Egypt, he faced the jealousy and plots of others who wanted to see him fail. Yet Joseph did not give up. He continued to walk forward. Experience, trusting God's timing and plan. That hate, rather than discouraging him, became a sign that he was moving into the destiny God had prepared. Every attack, every betrayal, experience, every attempt to stop him was a signal to keep moving. He could have let the hatred stop him, but instead, he let it confirm that God was with him and that greater things awaited him. Hate is also a sign to keep moving because it forces you to lean fully on God. Experience. When you face opposition, it challenges you to trust not in your own strength, but in the power and wisdom of God. Hate exposes your reliance on God, refining your faith, character, experience, and resolve. Every criticism, every attack, every act of malice becomes a spiritual training ground. You learn to persevere, to maintain integrity, experience, and to remain steadfast in your mission. Hate, in this sense, is a tool of God to strengthen your determination and prepare you for the responsibilities of favor. Furthermore, experience, hate can serve as a guide, helping you to focus on your purpose rather than the distractions of public opinion. When people hate what you are doing, experience, it can remind you that you are not called to please everyone. Your mission is to fulfill God's purpose in your life. Experience, not to gain approval from those who cannot understand your vision. Experience, their opposition can actually be liberating because it pushes you to rely on God's validation rather than human validation. Experience, every step forward in the face of hate is a testimony to the fact that God's approval is sufficient and his plan is unshakable. Experience, the key to responding to hate is not to retaliate, to stop, or to become discouraged. It is to recognize it as a sign to press on, to maintain your integrity, experience, and to continue walking in faith. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? When hate rises, experience, know that God's favor and purpose cannot be stopped by human opposition. Every critic, every antagonist, experience, every enemy of your progress is unwittingly confirming that God is at work in your life. Their hate is not a curse, it is a marker, a signpost pointing to your advancement, experience, promotion, and destiny. So when you encounter hate, do not shrink back, do not take it personally, and do not lose your momentum. Instead, experience, let it be the fuel that drives you forward. Let it remind you that God has placed you in a position of influence, power, and favor. Let it encourage you to remain steadfast. Experience, knowing that the opposition is a divine signal you are walking in purpose, you are moving in favor, and you are on the path God intended for you. Experience, hate is not the end, it is proof. Proof that you are moving in the right direction, proof that God is with you, and proof that the enemy cannot stop the hand of God in your life. Experience, keep walking, keep believing, keep moving. Their hate is confirmation that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, experience. And nothing can prevent the fulfillment of God's promises in your life.